You've wasted enough time arguing in comment sections, listening to endless debates about what a good man is supposed to be. You've consumed hours of content, recited quotes, shared motivational clips, but you're still in the same place. Why? Because none of that is becoming, none of that is action. You've mistaken knowing for being. You've mistaken speaking for living, and that lie is destroying you. Marcus Aurelius didn't write to impress you. He wasn't dropping wisdom so you could screenshot it and post it on your story. He was writing to himself because he knew something you've been avoiding. The world doesn't care about what you believe. It watches what you do. It rewards what you become. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Do you understand the violence in that sentence? He's not asking. He's commanding. He's cutting through the noise, through your excuses, through your distractions. Be one. That's it. And right now, that is the one thing you're not doing. You've turned virtue into a performance. You debate morality like a sport. You quote Stoics, but you don't live like one. You argue about discipline while you scroll for hours. You talk about courage while you avoid every hard choice. The truth is, you're not confused. You're hiding. You already know what a good man is. You just don't want to pay the price it demands. Because being one requires sacrifice. It requires discomfort. It requires war, not with the world, with yourself. A war against laziness, weakness, distraction, fear. A war against every soft lie you've told yourself to avoid doing a hard thing. And here's the brutal truth. No one is coming to save you from that war. Not a mentor, not a book, not this video. The only one who can pull you out is you. And the only way out is action. This is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming responsible. Responsible for your time. Responsible for your habits. Responsible for your character. Not when you feel like it. Not when it's trending. Always. Because the man who waits to be good is already failing. The man who thinks he needs more knowledge before he starts is lying. You don't need more content. You need to change. You scroll through feeds filled with advice, podcasts titled How to Be a Man, Instagram reels quoting philosophers you've never actually read, YouTube channels dissecting what masculinity should look like, as if manhood was a debate team topic. And deep down, you know something is wrong, because despite this avalanche of information, you feel weaker, more confused, less certain of who you are. And it's not your fault that you feel this way. It's the system you're trapped in. A system that rewards endless talking, but punishes quiet becoming. Modern culture has turned masculinity into a branding project. Men are sold identities like fashion trends, alpha, sigma, high value, all of it noise. Labels that sound powerful but mean nothing when you're alone, when you're tested, when life hits you in the mouth. And here's the truth. None of those labels can save you, because manhood isn't a title. It's a daily decision. And if you need the internet to tell you what kind of man to be, you've already lost. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." But you've buried your why under hours of content. You chase knowledge as a drug, thinking if you just hear the right sentence, read the right book, everything will click. It won't. Because the truth is, information is not your problem. Execution is. You're not confused. You're addicted to input, not output. To watching others live instead of living. To commenting on courage instead of practicing it. To intellectual masturbation, rubbing your ego with every new idea while your soul rots in the corner from starvation. And the worst part is, you call this growth. You convince yourself that thinking about being a better man is the same as becoming one. But the gap between those two things is massive, and you are drowning in that gap. You were not built to argue about identity. You were built to forge it with sweat, with sacrifice, with scars. The Greeks called it arete, excellence, not as a performance, but as a condition of the soul. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask what a man should be. He became the man, in silence, in hardship. In private battles, no one applauded. He didn't win with quotes. He won with discipline. But you're comfortable in your theory. You wear your books like armor, but never enter the fight. You think the right idea will change you, but it won't. Ideas don't change men. Decisions do. Repetition does. Pain does. Action is the only cure. And unless you start replacing your consumption with confrontation, you will rot in the library of your own excuses. The world doesn't need more talkers. It needs doers, builders, fathers, brothers, leaders, men who act, men who fail and get up, men who suffer and still protect what matters, men who don't tweet about character, they live it. And if you're not willing to become one, don't talk about being one. Because the good man doesn't need to prove he's good. His life proves it for him. So if you're serious, stop consuming and start confronting. Look in the mirror and ask, where am I lying to myself? Ask, what am I avoiding? Because that's where your real work begins. Not in the next podcast, not in the next self-help video. Here, now, with this sentence, do something with it, or lose yourself forever in a sea of voices that never became men. You've read the quotes, you've seen the statues, you know the names, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. But what you don't understand is that Stoicism was never meant to be poetic. It was a survival strategy. These men didn't write because life was easy. They wrote because it was brutal. And they knew no man survives the storm by talking about calm. He survives by becoming unshakable. You think Marcus Aurelius had time to romanticize virtue? He was leading an empire, burying children, fighting plagues, putting down rebellions. Every day chaos knocked at his door. And what did he say? Not, I am overwhelmed. Not, why me? He said, be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. That's not poetry, that's instruction. Epictetus was born a slave. His leg was broken by a master. He was beaten, humiliated, treated like property. But he didn't become bitter. He didn't beg for justice. He said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's not comfort, that's power. Seneca, he was exiled, betrayed, and ordered to kill himself. And yet, in his final letters, he said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Pain wasn't their enemy. Pain was the gem. Pain was the sharpening stone. They didn't run from it. They used it. And here you are, in a world with no lions, no invasions, no chains. Just deadlines, distractions, and your own soft habits. And you collapse under the weight of mild discomfort. You complain when the Wi-Fi is slow. You rage when plans change. You spiral over a breakup, a job rejection, a rude comment online. You want to be a good man, but you haven't even mastered your phone addiction. The Stoics taught that virtue is not something you wear. It's something you do. It's not a quote on your wall. It's a habit in your blood. When Marcus says, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. He's not being clever. He's giving you a challenge. Can you wake up and do what's right even when it hurts? Can you act with courage when you're afraid? Can you control your anger when every cell in your body wants to explode? That's the test. That's always been the test. Stoicism isn't a philosophy, it's a battlefield. And on that battlefield, the enemy isn't outside. It's you, your weakness, your excuses, your comforts, your distractions. The enemy is the voice that says, "Not today, I'll be better later." That voice must die, or it will kill everything you could become. And here's the truth, you already know what the right thing is. You've always known, you just haven't done it. Well, why? Because it's hard, because it's not glamorous, because no one claps for it, no one gives you likes for eating clean, waking up early, shutting your mouth when you're angry, staying loyal when tempted, showing up when tired. But that is virtue. That is what makes a man unshakable. Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." You don't get to skip hardship. You transform through it. The broken moments are not setbacks. They are assignments. You are being forged. If you run from the forge, you stay brittle. You stay fake. You stay soft. You are not here to memorize wisdom. You are here to embody it. That means responsibility, not reaction. That means discipline, not drama. That means character, not convenience. You don't need to debate what a good man should be. You need to decide who you will be when no one is watching. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." In other words, shut up and show it. Show it in how you treat your parents. Show it in how you respond to anger. Show it in how you handle temptation, hardship, failure. You want to be powerful? Control your tongue. Control your impulses. Control your thoughts. That's the throne you're supposed to sit on, your own damn mind. So take every situation today, every pain, every inconvenience, every problem, and use it as firewood. Let it burn away your softness. Let it fuel your becoming. And remember, a good man is not built when things go his way. A good man is built in the dark, in discomfort, in daily decisions no one sees. And if you still think you need to talk about what a good man should be, you've already failed the test. Be one or be forgotten. You keep asking, who am I? You wait for an identity to appear. You hope that one day it'll all make sense, that you'll discover your purpose, your role, your path. But here's the harsh truth. There's nothing to discover. There's only something to build. Jean-Paul Sartre didn't say, find yourself. He said, man is nothing else but what he makes of himself. You are not born with meaning, you create it. You don't uncover who you are, you decide. That's why most people never become anything, because they think they need to feel ready. They think they need permission. They wait for a sign, but signs don't come. Life doesn't give you clarity, it gives you chaos. And your job is to act anyway. Your job is to define yourself through your decisions, not your emotions, not your moods, not your fantasies. Action is identity. Soren Kierkegaard called it the sickness unto death. Not cancer, not plague, but despair. And what is despair? It's knowing you're not who you should be and doing nothing about it. It's choosing comfort over change, illusion over responsibility. It's lying to yourself about why you haven't started yet. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right moment, but the truth is you're afraid. You're afraid that if you act, you'll fail. You're afraid that if you commit, you'll be exposed. But fear doesn't excuse you. Fear condemns you. Existence doesn't care about your doubts. It only responds to what you do. That's why the Stoics and the existentialists, as different as they were, landed in the same place. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You are your actions. You are what you do every single day, especially when it's hard, especially when it hurts, especially when no one's watching. That's the real scoreboard. What do you do when life isn't kind? That's when the truth comes out. You want to be a good man? Then stop asking, what should I be? And start answering with movement. Speak with your habits. Argue with your discipline. Build your philosophy in silence. The world doesn't need another man searching for meaning. It needs men who create it. Men who carve it out of pain, out of effort, out of repetition. Men who choose responsibility even when they're scared, especially when they're scared. And if you think you need more time to decide who you are, let me make it simple. You are already deciding. Every choice you make is a vote for who you become. Every time you show up or don't. Every time you face the fire or flinch. Every time you say yes to growth or no out of fear. That's who you are, not your past, not your potential, your pattern. So stop lying to yourself about who you could be and start becoming who you're willing to be. Because until you act, you are no one. You're just a shadow of ideas. An outline of a man waiting to be filled in by action. And that outline will fade unless you pick up the pen and start writing with your behavior. Remember this, you're not stuck because you don't know who you are. You're stuck because you refuse to build the man you claim to want to be. And the longer you wait, the louder the despair will get. So do something, not next week, not tomorrow, now. Choose the hard thing, say the honest thing, wake up and walk like the man you keep talking about. Because every second you delay is another piece of you dying. You keep saying you want to change. You say you want to be disciplined, stronger, more focused, more resilient. But do you understand what that requires? It's not a decision. It's a lifestyle. It's a daily war. Character is not gifted. It is trained. And if you want to build it, you need to treat it like a muscle. That means repetition. That means resistance. That means pain. You don't build a disciplined mind by thinking about structure. You build it by imposing structure every day, especially when you don't want to. Viktor Frankl said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space is everything, and every time you ignore it, every time you act on impulse, anger, laziness, you shrink. You lose ground. You weaken your character. But when you use that space, even for a second, to choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you grow. That's how discipline starts. Not with breakthroughs, with micro moments of defiance. The alarm goes off. You get up. The phone tempts you. You put it down. The junk food calls. You walk away. You don't negotiate with weakness. You kill it before it multiplies. How do I become mentally tough? Do hard things on purpose. Do what makes you sweat, stretch, suffer, not because it feels good, but because it forces your brain to obey your soul. You can't read your way into virtue. You act your way there, through repeated trials, through drills, through sacred routine. A good man doesn't need reminders. He's already decided. He doesn't wait to feel ready. He doesn't ask if it's convenient. He acts. That's the difference between amateurs and the disciplined. Amateurs hope. Virtuous men vow. They commit. And they keep showing up, want to build character. Start with how you wake up, how you speak to your family, how you handle rejection. That's where it's built. Not in your fantasies, but your present patterns. Every moment is a rep. Every decision is a brick. You are building something, whether you mean to or not. And if you don't create your structure, the world will. You'll become a slave to impulse, to social media, to stress, to cheap dopamine. Most people live like untrained animals, reacting, retreating, regretting. But a trained man, he doesn't flinch, he doesn't panic, he doesn't crumble, because he's rehearsed pain. He's prepared for war. This isn't about being robotic. This is about being forged, becoming unbreakable where it matters. Not your body, but your mind, your habits, your soul. Because one day your strength will be tested, not by weights, by life, by betrayal, by grief, by chaos. And if you haven't trained your values into your bones, you will collapse. That's why the Stoics weren't soft. They practiced death. They imagined loss. They embraced discomfort to stay centered. That's the training you need, mental, emotional, spiritual. Routine isn't prison, it's protection. It's the armor your future self needs. So build rituals that ignore your feelings, habits that serve your purpose. Stack small wins until they're unshakable. Eat with discipline, speak with intention, train with focus, rest with structure. And when laziness whispers, and it will, answer with action. That's how you grow. That's how you become durable. And that's why most men fail. They want to appear disciplined, but not repeat discipline. They want the reward without the routine. But there is no shortcut, only the path. And that path is hard, thankless, slow. But it works. It never lies. It gives you exactly what you earn. In the end, your life won't rise to your ambitions. It will fall to your systems. So build systems that mirror your highest self. Build them so strong that even on your worst day, they carry you. Because good men aren't made in big moments. They're made in boring ones, in silence, in sweat, in solitude. If you want to be good, train. If you want to be free, discipline yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. You've heard the call, from Marcus Aurelius to Epictetus to Kierkegaard to Frankl. The message hasn't changed. Don't argue, don't perform, don't wait. Be. Because the world is not changed by opinions, it is changed by men who live with quiet conviction, who build character when no one's watching, who act with courage when it's inconvenient, who choose what's right even when no one claps. The truth is simple. You don't become a good man by accident. You don't stumble into strength. You don't trip into purpose. You build it, one decision, one habit, one hard truth at a time. You lift yourself out of weakness. You forge discipline through repetition. You shape identity through choices. And you do it every single day, not because it's fun, but because it's necessary. There is no secret. There is no shortcut. There is only the mirror and the man looking back at you. Will he keep talking, or will he finally start doing? Because everything you need to be already lives in you, not in your feelings, not in your dreams, in your ability to act. You want to be a better man? Then stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop playing with potential. Choose right now that if this message shook something inside you, don't let it fade. Seal it with action. In the comments, write, "I choose to be the man." Make it real. Make it public. Make it matter. Because your journey begins the second you commit out loud, not to me, to yourself. And if you're serious about this path, don't walk it alone. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. Because every video here is a weapon for your mind, a tool for your transformation. Not entertainment, evolution. Be the man. Not someday, not when it's easy, not when you feel ready.